Well, the hour being 3 o'clock, we'll call this regular meeting of Town Council to order this 12th day of April, 2021. We have an agenda before us. Are there any additions or deletions?
Yes, Your Worship, under in camera, HR matter, MGA section 197.2, FOIP legislation section 17.4D.
All right, in cam. All right, any other additions or deletions? No? All in favor? Oh, could I have a motion to adopt it?
Your Worship, I'll make a motion to move the agenda as adopt or as amended.
Thank you, Councillor Hill. All in favor? Carried, thank you. All right, first on the agenda are the minutes of the regular council meeting of March 22nd, 2021 for consideration. Would someone like to move that we adopt those minutes as submitted?
I will, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Bates. Any errors or omissions to be noted? All in favor of the motion? Carried, thank you. Next are the minutes of the agenda and priorities meeting of April 6th, 2021 for consideration. Would someone like to move those minutes be adopted as submitted?
I can move, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Barclay. Any errors or omissions to be noted? No? All in favor of the motion? Carried, thank you. All right, under administration, request for decision, CAO's report.
Thanks, Your Worship. Just a few items as per the report. As you know, the Police and Safe Community Public Engagement Plan, as part of that plan, the administration team has been working to help that committee with some of their engagements. One of the engagements occurred on March 23rd, which we had a decent turnout, I think well in the 20s from the community posing questions to the committee. Community did a really good job on that engagement. It was it was the first time we did this sort of engagement. It was a good trial for us, and our facilitator, Stuart, did an excellent job in facilitating that discussion. So I think we've certainly learned from that, but it's really good engagement, and it's leading into that committee's next engagement, which is currently moving forward. As you can see in the report, there is a survey out to the community right now just regarding a safety survey, which is open until April the 16th. We circulate that in our different channels for media and social media, for example. I and several other staff and I think members of council attended the recent Municipal Energy Champions Energy Management Basics Training, which was presented on April the 7th through the MCCAC, the Municipal Climate Change Action Center. We do have representation as a municipal energy champion. We do have staff dedicated towards that portfolio to broaden our horizons regarding energy and energy opportunities for our facilities and so forth. So that training was just to help us get a little bit more IQ regarding energy management. As for the report, just a few areas of my focus over the last 3 weeks, I guess it is. So if there's any questions on this report or anything else, Council, I'd be happy to answer your questions.
Thank you, Your Worship, through to CAO Becker. I know we have a management team in place, but who is our champion?
Our champion, well, it's all of us, but Tracy, our development officer, is dedicated to champion, the energy champion.
Yeah, thank you. And just to follow up on that, what are our next steps? Are we working towards an energy audit or?
Yeah, Megan, would you kindly respond?
So we kind of have two concurrent processes. So we have the process that we've undertaken with AMSC and Train. So they're working on audits, baseline audits of all of our facilities. And then as well through the Energy Champions program, we'll be looking to understand those audits and then how we can move forward into integrating it more into our general systems and decision making. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Councillor Bates.
Yes, through to this CAO. I'd sure like to see our champion somewhere down the road give us a quick overview of our billings. Like whether or not, I don't know how we get billed. Do we pay several separate billings at various facilities, or do we get one, or how does all that work? And
We get a single bill, but we can track. Each facility has an ID and we can.
yeah,
get a
well,
look at that.
I'd just like to, some future AMP maybe,
Mhm.
just get an overview of what ours look like, because the examples they were using, and I tried to quickly, then we had some difficulty with their survey, but when I looked at my residential bills, they didn't resemble the proportions that they were talking about, percentage energy used versus, they're all over the place, but so I'd like to see us do that. Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay, I guess would someone like to move that we adopt or accept this CAO's report for information.
I so move, your worship.
Thank you, Councillor Bates. All in favor of the motion? Carried. All right. CAO Becker, you have a COVID-19 report for us?
Sure, your worship, council. So the ECC continues to meet every Wednesday or change around based on availability. Right now, we do know from a week in, we're back into step one, which means municipal facilities used for indoor recreation may remain open, but with some slight adjustments. These remain only for individual or household one-on-one fitness training and youth group physical activities. Libraries must close as per step one. And for us in the arena, twin arena, activities such as lacrosse means that one youth group per sheet, whereas previously I think we had two, accommodated two. What we're hearing through Dr. Hinshaw is that most of the new infections, the cases are likely to be a variant, which is more contagious and creates a little bit more concern for all of us. As per the vaccination program, for what I read today, it's moving into 2C as of today, which means healthcare workers age 18 and older are now can book appointments. And as of April 8th, there has been just shy of 820,000 doses administered, and there are now 1.7 million Albertans eligible to be vaccinated. So I didn't, unless you want to go into the detail of step one, I didn't pull that up. But if you want that detail, we can pull it up on the screen.
Yeah, it's interesting, but the new cases are certainly on the incline or dropped a bit today. But anyways, would someone like to move we adopt the report of the ECC committee?
Also move that.
Thank you, Councilor Reber. Any further discussion? No, all in favor of the motion? Carried, thank you. All right, we have the, for information, is the council action control schedule. I had one question, Mr. CAO, the 2-hour parking, did we do a survey yet of the businesses? And
Your worship, we did complete that process. I believe our manager of fire protective services is pulling together a report to come back to you,
good.
likely at the next regular council meeting.
Great, good. Any other questions of that schedule? Oh, would someone like to move we adopted for information?
I'll move that, your worship.
Thank you, Councillor Bates. All in favor of the motion? Carried. Thank you. The next is an RFD on the committee appointment extensions. And Vanessa, is that yours?
Yes, your worship. Just a quick ask from council to extend the appointments for 3 citizen reps as they're in the recommended motions. And then every one of our committee members will expire in October every year. So then we can have a better, more dedicated blitz to try and get people to come on them.
Can we cover all of these recommendations with one motion? That should be fine, shouldn't it?
I think probably do them individually. That'd be easier.
It's up to you.
I can make the first motion if you wish, your worship.
All right.
Council extended community service standing committee appointment term for Amy Bagley to extend to October 25th, 2021.
All right. All in favor of the motion? Carried. Thank you. Next, the appointment of Trevor Hardy.
I'll move that we extend the appointment for Trevor Hardy for the Municipal Planning Commission to October 25th, 2021.
Okay. All in favor of the motion? Carried. And Heather Taylor.
Worship, I will move that we extend the term for Heather Taylor to the Transportation Committee to October 25th, 2021.
Thank you, Councilor Barkley. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. All right, let's move on to operations. We got an RFD regarding the 2021 Service Improvements Program.
So I just have this one for the surface improvements. This is our last of our capital, major capital projects. History on this one is it encompassed 2 streets. One's 38th Street, which we did the underground replacement last year on. So existing right now, it's in a milling state. So the scope would be to remove the milling shape and pave that project. And the second area that we have in the surface improvements is 57th Street, which is currently a gravel road section within a residential area. We're proposing to maintain the rural section along 57th Street as the existing lots are graded to a drainage ditch, which would be unable to adjusted to drain to a curb and gutter. We closed the tenders on March 1st with only 2 contractors submitting bids, Border Paving at $262,000 and Central City at $335,000. Tender evaluations were completed by Altera with no unbalanced items within the bids. Was their recommendation to award to Border Paving. With the tender prices coming well under the estimated budget, we did look at 2 change orders to get pricing on. One was the reconstruction of 49A Ave from 56th Street to 57th Street. This would entail replacement of the curb, sidewalk, and granular base and asphalt, which are all in significant disrepair. So that came in at $101,000. Change order 2 was the reconstruction of 49th Ave from 56th Street to 49th Street. This would entail pulverizing the existing structure that's there, reshaping and paving. That came to just under $70,000. So total construction value with all 2 change orders and the primary scope was $434,006. With engineering and contingency, total project cost would be $512,204.26. This is still under our estimated budget of $615,000. So recommendation is for council to approve the award of the 2021 program to Border Paving for the amount of $512,204.26, funded from the federal gas tax fund.
Okay, is someone prepared to make a motion to support that recommendation?
Sure, I'll move that we follow the recommended motion and award the 2020 Surface Improvements Program to Border Paving.
Thank you. Discussion. Councilor Harrison.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just through to Director Kennedy. Just clarification on 57th Street. I'm not clear on the rural section along 57th Street and what's going to be done from 49th over to the 50th Avenue there. That piece that shows up on the ortho photo there. The
Yeah,
50s. So what's the reconstruction? What are we going to do there?
So 57th Street and 49th Ave, both will pretty much be the same scope. We'll be pulverizing, using the structure that's there, and then paving to just a rural section, so no curb and gutter. And then 49A is existing right now. That has curb and sidewalk on it. So we're looking to rip all that out and replacing it with new curb and gutter and pavements.
Okay. Just so that I'm clear there, 57th Street will be getting pavement at the end of the day.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
I have one question too, Director Kennedy. The 49th is a somewhat of a truck route, is it? Or was at one time from the north?
Yeah, I think they do. It should be the truck route. It's actually the gravel section to the east.
Yeah.
48th, but yeah, it is, I think, used as well.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions? Not? I'll ask the question then. All in favor of the motion? Carried. Thank you. Five point two, Director Kennedy, Diamond 7 upgrade.
Yeah, so just have in front of you the recommendation for award of Diamond 7 upgrades. Just going back a little bit of history on this one. So Diamond 7 has a history of poor drainage, which has left that field to be unusable for large portions of the previous seasons. The town was approached by the Community Facility Enhancement Association to work collaboratively to upgrade the diamond to a feature hardball diamond that would be suitable for hosting provincial and national ball events. In order to evaluate the proposal from CFEA in conjunction with other diamond or demands for the ball diamonds, in our community, an engagement and assessment process was undertaken. This process included direct engagement with all the community diamond users, Innisfail balls, 590 slope pitch, the junior merchants, and the senior men's trappers. The resulting report highlights enhancement desires as various diamonds and to impact the converted Diamond 7 will have on the current users, mainly the slow pitch league. The solution suggested minimizing impact on user focused on upgrades to other existing diamonds to increase usage. So impacts or improvements like drainage, amenities, and size. The assessment will help to inform planning and decision making related to future diamond upgrades, as well as fee reviews and amenity enhancements. Most participants in the assessment process supported the creation of the enhanced facility. Through further collaboration, an approach was determined to fund the desired upgrades. The town would contribute to the kind of major construction costs of the diamond, the basic amenities, grass, seed, shale, and fencing. And CFEA would contribute towards the enhanced amenities like irrigation, bleachers, concrete dugouts, scoreboards, and lighting. The request for proposals for the project closed on March 17th with 3 contractors submitting bids: Urban Dirt Works, $191,000, Howell's Excavating, $202,000, and Northside Construction at $217,000. The bid evaluation was done by Altera. No unbalanced items were within the bids. Administration met with both Altera and CFEA representatives to review the submissions, consider the costs, past projects, local presence of all 3 bidders. Although all three have successfully completed projects for the town in the past, it was the group's recommendation to award the contract to Howells Excavating. Howells Excavating has been a local contractor in Innisfail since 1976, completing many projects for the town. Most recently was the new Horseshoe Pit project, which was completed in 2019. So using Howells Excavating cost of $202,000 for construction, engineering, and contingency, we'd be at $246,158 with the anticipated budget to be $250, so just under that anticipated budget. It is our recommendation to award the Diamond 7 upgrades to Howells Excavating for the price of $202,381, funded from the Municipal Sustainability Initiative.
All right. Someone prepared to make a motion to support that recommendation?
I'd so move, your worship, that council approves the award of the Diamond 7 upgrades contract to Howells Excavating Limited for $202,381 to be funded from the Municipal Sustainability Initiative, MSI.
Thank you, Councillor Harrison. Any discussion? I'm encouraged to see they decided to recognize the local people because they do a lot for the community and we don't get billed for too quite often. So I think it's a good move to support them. No other discussion? All in favor of the motion? Carried. Thank you. All right, moving on to corporate 2021 tax rate bylaw. Erica.
Thank you, your worship. So I have here before you the 2021 property tax bylaw. Each year, the administration brings to council the tax rates based on various residential subclasses and non-residential properties based on assessed property values, the budgeted tax requirement, professional judgment, and other direction provided by council. So at the December 14th, 2020 council meeting, council did approve the 2021 operating budget with the 2021 tax requirement of $622,000. Okay, $10 million, okay. Okay, this was based on the assessment estimates given to us by assessor Wild Rose Assessments in November. We have received the official assessments in February of 2021, and the town is seeing an increased assessment of $25 million. However, when we deduct the difference of the solar estimate and any new properties being taxed, we are left with an increased assessment of $12 million. This does give us a slight overall assessment growth of 1%, which is good to see this year. However, while we do have this slight growth for 2021, many properties are still going to experience a decrease of assessment in 2021. So in a previous council meeting, council has directed administration to bring back the 2021 tax rate bylaw with a 1% tax increase. So those numbers are indicated below. And I did attach a 2021 property tax comparison to show the assessment changes and tax requirement of 10 residential and 10 non-residential properties. So the 1% tax increase will generate an additional $78,762 of revenue for the town. Each year, the province of Alberta sets the requirements for the education property tax and the designated industrial properties. For 2021, the education property tax requisition has been frozen to the 2020 amounts. So those mill rates remain unchanged. And on March 31st, 2021, we received the DIP mill rate from the government, and they have increased that from 0.076 to 0.0766. The seniors rate is set by Parkland Foundation each year, and they have elected to have that remain the same this year. Those additional mill rates are indicated there. Once the bylaw for the is passed, the 2021 assessment and taxation notices will be sent out by end of day on April 22nd. And that will give the residents 67 days to file an appeal on or before June 29th. This makes sure that that's done before the June 30th deadline. And taxes must be paid without penalty by that June 30th deadline. And the penalties have remained unchanged for the 21 year currently. So on July 1st, they'll have 8% of the current outstanding balance. So that is only like 2021's outstanding balance. On September 1st, it'll be 4% of the current outstanding balance. And then on January 1st, it'll be 12% of the total outstanding balance. So we are looking for, the recommended motion that we're looking for is that council accepts and gives bylaw, 1666-2021, the property tax bylaw, first, second, and third readings.
All right. Just to clarify the motion, then, is it based on the 1%?
Yes, your worship. it
Yeah,
is.
that's what I thought. So just to clear in your mind what you're voting on. I guess we should entertain a motion to open discussions. Is someone prepared to make a motion at this time?
So I'll move that we give property tax bylaw 1666-2021 first reading.
Thank you. Discussion. Councillor Harrison.
Thank you, Your Worship. I know when we discussed some month ago, I was in favor of a slight tax increase, but things, I believe, conditions have changed over the last month with COVID, additional restrictions. The restrictions have been re-implemented, and God knows where we're going with COVID. So I would suggest that the timing for a 1% tax increase is probably not the time, particularly when we see the background here that's been provided by our administration, that the assessments are up. We're generating more tax revenue to be put into a reserve. I'm all for reserves. And I think that there's going to be a day that we're going to have to really take a look at our tax structure here in Innisfail. But I think at this point in time, I would suggest that it's probably not the best time to impose this upon our citizens with so much uncertainty over the next little while. Thank you, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Barkley.
Yeah, Your Worship. So going over what Erica gave to us when we had budget deliberations last November. At that time, we were looking at a 3.29% decrease in residential assessments and 2.86 in non-residential. That's changed now to where non-residential is actually increasing 1% and residential is only decreasing 2.18%. At that time, as I've mentioned before, at the deliberations, we increased water 10 cents, wastewater 15 cents. We added stormwater $3 and $6, and solid waste went from 23 to 25. At that time, my perception, as I've said before, is that we based our budget on 0%, but we did these other changes to accommodate some extra revenues. And I agree with Councillor Harrison. I don't think this is the time. We've got 2 gyms in our community that have been mostly closed for a year now. I think of our restaurants and eateries. They have been partially restricted for a year. And I just think that the optics of this is bad. I don't see us necessarily needing the revenue. We know we have a fairly massive surplus. We also received information the last couple of weeks that the federal gas tax is doubling again. So that's an extra, I think, almost $500,000. So I am definitely against a 1% tax increase at this time and would like to see us leave it at 0.
Thank you. Councillor Bates.
I guess I have a question. Hopefully the interim director can answer it. In the last 3 years, what has our tax increase, decrease? I know we haven't had decreases. What has the increase percentage been?
So in the last 5 years, we did increase 1.5%, I believe in 2019 for residential properties, and that's been it.
1.5. Okay, and I guess we've all reflected on this somewhat. The 7 years I've been here, I've never advocated for a tax increase, but as I look at the unknowns, I know we received a lot of benefit this year from the most program, which if it hadn't been for it, we might be in significant difficulties. And I look at what we deliberated last fall, and the one thing that I looked at, and I think I've shared this with some of you before, is the heliport, keeping it where it is. We're going to get most of that capital, it looks like, courtesy of the surplus and the most. But the ongoing operating is approximately 1%. I think a couple of weeks ago, we subsidized infills that could be to the tune of 1%. And as I engage citizens talking about the heliport, I didn't find one that said they weren't willing to pay a small increase to operate and keep the heliport where it is. So with that and the 1.5% over 5 years, I can favor the motion, even though I spoke against it last time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Hill. Any comment?
Yes, Your Worship. Quite torn on it because I do understand that our community is hurting and our taxpayers are a lot of things are out of their control. This is in our control, and I feel that the town needs to remain healthy and be able to assist our community when they can. Is 1% going to make or break us? I'm not sure. But I tend to believe that if this was another time, another place, it might be a more fitting and appropriate. But like Councillor Harrison said, I would like to see an increase at some point in time, but I don't believe with their current circumstances that it would be appropriate at this time.
Councillor Reberger.
I think I'm in favor of the motion as presented, because I think we are going ahead aggressively spending the money. We're doing all these capital projects. We're trying to go ahead full steam on everything. So I think given that, and in the big picture, a 1% increase is very minor, and that still is, if you take, that's 2.5% over 6 years. And like, if you go back farther, we've had very few increases. I'm just worried about us. How are we funding all this aggressiveness that we're going for? So I think I'm in favor of the motion as presented.
Okay. It's a difficult situation for all of us, I know, because we certainly realize the impact on the community at this day and age. But what I'm more concerned about is if you postpone the inevitable too long, it'll catch up to you. And I think next year is going to be an even tougher year. And I just think that in consideration how attentive that council's been over the last 5 years, or well, the 1.5% in 5 years, that's a pretty remarkable track record. And it's no doubt that we've been doing our best to keep it down. And fortunately, the I guess the industrial base that we have is a big asset to our community. A lot of communities don't have the basis that we've got, so that's quite an asset to our residential side of it. But I just think the longer that we keep prolonging the need for an increase, it's just going to catch up. And the next year or two are not going to be easy. So I will be supporting the motions.
Your worship, I'll also remind council that the taxes on the solar farm are twice as much as what we thought they were in November. It's fairly significant.
Okay. Any further discussion? And I'll ask the question, then those in favor of the motion and opposed to the motion. Clarification, sir.
It's defeated. Tie creates defeat.
I'm sorry?
The motion is defeated.
It is defeated on a
Yes.
tie. Okay. I wasn't sure about that. So that was for first reading. Now, the situation being that if someone, I guess we could entertain a motion to go with the alternative of no increase. Motion to, is that,
It's straight up to council.
yeah. Okay, well, being that the first motion to proceed with the 1% increase was defeated, is someone prepared to make a motion that we carry on business with no increase?
I will make that motion, your worship.
Okay.
0%.
So just for clarification, your worship, so it'd be first reading.
First reading, yes.
Yes, I will do that over. Sorry, your worship. I will make a motion to give first reading to a 0% property tax increase.
Oh,
It'll be a different number.
so just, yeah, just for council's review on the screen is administration did provide you a 0%. So the numbers there. So what we do is, if Councilor Burke is okay, would be, the first reading would be as amended. So showing us 0% tax increase, we'll apply these numbers within the bylaw. Then you can still proceed on to second, third reading if you desire to do so.
So this would be just an amendment?
For the very first reading, your worship. So it'd be
And still the same number.
correct.
Okay, your worship, I'll, that we give first reading to amended bylaw 1666, 2021 for a 0% tax increase.
Thank you. Discussion. Councillor Bates.
Well, I'm certainly not invested in the opinion that I had expressed to the point where I would go against this. Thank you.
Councillor Reberg.
So rather than seeing this go to a tie motion, I would also support this because we have to get these notices out to the public. So rather than delaying this or dragging it out, I would vote in favor of this motion.
Okay, anyone else? All right, I think I follow the same view as I think the other councillors in the defeat of the first motion, that we're in it all together. And I think if we think I'm just concerned about it catching up to us in the future, but I guess I don't have to worry about it. Yeah. Well, what a 10% decrease. No. Anyways, I think we understand the motion then. It's to go with the bylaw first reading for 0 increase. I'll ask the question. All in favor of the motion? Carried. Thank you. Someone prepared to give this second reading?
Your worship, I would give bylaw, it's the same bylaw, correct? Bylaw 1666-2021, second reading.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? No, all in favor of the motion? Carried. Is someone prepared to make a motion to proceed to third and final reading?
Your worship, I'll move that we proceed to third reading.
Thank you. All in favor of the motion? Carried. All right, is someone prepared to make that third and final motion to proceed?
Your worship, I move the council moves to third or gives third reading to bylaw 1666, 2021 property tax.
All right, no discussion. All in favor of the motion? Carried unanimously. Okay, we're proceeding to 6.2 is an RFD regarding special tax bylaw 1667.
Thank you, your worship. So back on April 27th of 2020, council awarded the contract for the 61st Avenue improvements to Central City Asphalt for $913,000. At that time, council directed administration to bring back a special tax bylaw in April 2021 to recuperate 15% of the cost. And the cost was to be broken out over the next 15 years. Administration determined that $587,000, which was the paving portion of 61st Ave, would be included in calculation for the special tax, and it is broken out by frontage on the street. So as you can see, the roll numbers and the total allocated cost per roll number, the total 15%, and then what they're going to be required to pay for each year. This is a bylaw that we will have to bring back annually every year for your review. And we are looking that council gives this bylaw 1667-2021 for second and third readings today. Thank you.
Okay. Someone prepared to make the motion. We give this first reading.
Your worship,
Yeah, first reading.
your worship, I move that we give bylaw 1667-2021 first reading as presented.
Thank you. Discussion. I know Director Kennedy and his group spent a great deal of time in surveying and working with the affected people along 61st, and I think they came up with a good compromise, and it didn't seem to be too badly received in the working with the people. So I mean, it's I just can't get over the improvement it's done for the area too, you know. But anyways, any further discussion? No? And all in favor of the motion? Carried. Need a second reading for this.
I'll move second reading.
Okay. No discussion? No? All in favor of the motion? Carried. We need a motion to proceed to third reading.
I so move, your worship, that we move to third reading of bylaw 1667, 2021.
Thank you. All in favor of the motion? Oh, I'm sorry. All in favor of the motion, yeah, carried. All right, would someone please make the third and final motion for the third and final reading?
I can do that, your worship.
Thank you, Councilor Barkley. All in favor of the motion? Carried, thank you. All right, community services, RFD, land use bylaws, 1470.
All right, so looking to present proposed land use bylaw amendment 1470A72 to change the land use designation of Lot 11, Block 2, Plan 0922623, and the adjacent undeveloped lane from residential medium density R2 district to established industrial district. So we're looking for council motions for first reading of the bylaw and the scheduling of the public hearing. So outlined in red on the air photo are lots 11 and 12, Block 2, Plan 092, with the green outlined area being Lot 11 and the undeveloped lane that are subject to the proposed bylaw. The subject area is located at the north end of 48th and 49th Avenue. The proposed land use designation change is required in order to facilitate the proposed road closure, which is the next item on council's agenda, and the consolidation of the closed lane with lots 11 and 12 to create one single industrial parcel, which would be the area outlined in red. The closure of the lane and the consolidation of these parcels is being proposed as part of an arrangement for the town to obtain future road widening along the east parcel boundary of Lot 12. A road acquisition agreement will be registered on the title of Lot 12, so the town may obtain the required area for the north extension of 48th Avenue at a future date. So at this time, we're looking for first reading of the bylaw and the scheduling of the public hearing for May 10th at 3 p.m.
Okay, is someone prepared to make a motion?
Your worship, I'll make make the motion that we give first reading of bylaw number 1470-A72.
Okay, thank you. Discussion? I have one question, Megan. The front access road to that red box, is the road that's existing there now is inside the property line, is it?
The road going north up the east end, is
Yes.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an access agreement on that east end that allows Promax to access their lot on
Okay.
that east side.
So do we not have do we have a road allowance, or we don't have anything there beyond
No.
on that curve or realignment?
Mhm.
Okay. Is any other discussion? Councilor
Thank
Harrison?
you, Your Worship. I guess following up to that question then, if the existing road will be within the new lot, how are they going to access Promax now when if that becomes an industrial lot? It would be like private, wouldn't it?
So actually, so the access agreement would remain intact for
Oh.
Promax, and actually it's the same property owners that are purchasing this lot as that currently operate Promax. So it will be an expansion of their operations into this lot 11 and lot 12 as well. Long-term, when 48th Avenue would extend up the east side of all of those parcels, they would have access off of that east road.
And maybe a question that you won't be able to answer, Director Jenkins, but when would that road allowance be developed? Or is that?
That's largely development
that's it?
dependent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
So they're depending on a right of way to get access to that back lot.
So the access right of way already exists across. When the Promax law was created,
Yeah.
that access had to be provided to give them physical access.
Okay, the motion is to for this first reading and to proceed with the public hearing on May 10th. The same motion.
I think he only made the first motion. Yeah.
Just the first? Okay. All right, any further discussion? All in favor of the motion? Carried.
Your worship, I'll make a motion that we set Monday, May 10th, 3 p.m. council chambers as the date, time and place for this, for the public hearing for the bylaw we just voted on.
Thank you, Councillor Bates. All in favor of the motion? Carried. All right. Moving on then to the road closure.
Okay, so now looking just specifically at the undeveloped lane within the same area. So bylaw 1668, 2021 proposes to close all of the lane that is contained within Plan 0922623 outlined in green on your drawing. The closure area is again located at the north end of 48th and 49th Avenue. The closure of this portion of lane will facilitate the road widening on the east side of Lot 2, with a road acquisition agreement being registered on the title. The land use bylaw amendment is proceeding in parallel to this process. So the process to close a portion of a public road allowance is as follows. So a bylaw is prepared and given first reading by town council. So what we're doing currently, a notice will be published in the newspaper and notifications sent to area landowners on the proposed closure, as well as utility companies within the area. Town council will host a public hearing. We're proposing to have a joint public hearing for both the land use bylaw and the road closure bylaw. Any comments that we receive will be summarized and forwarded to the Minister of Transportation, along with the town's rationale for proceeding. If there are any presented objections, Alberta Transportation will consider the road closure and the minister may or may not approve. If the minister approves, town council may then consider second and third readings of the bylaw. So once the bylaw has been passed by town council closing the portion of the lane, the road closure bylaw can then be submitted to land titles office, and the land is converted from a road to a parcel or a titled parcel of land. So at this time, again, we are looking for first reading of the bylaw and the scheduling of May 10th at 3 p.m. For the public hearing for this bylaw.
Okay, is someone prepared to make that motion?
Yes, your worship, I move that council gives first reading to bylaw number 1668, 2021.
Okay, thank you. Discussion.
Your worship, just through to Director Jenkins, that the traffic that's coming out of the Promax lot, or when it's amalgamated, is it typically going south, like down to the truck route, or is it going, I just think that there may be a question, right, coming from residents in the area, if it's going west to the C&E in front of, like between the community gardens and the residences?
So that is the truck route. Going west
Okay.
and south is the designated truck route.
Okay.
So the Promax trucks do go that way because they go over to Enviro containers.
Okay.
But predominantly they'd be going south if they're going out of town. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Just to add to that, Councilor Barkley as well, for furthering your knowledge, a lot of Promax does a lot of work at Johns Manville as well. So between those two, they go either east or west on that corner. So there is kind of a split.
Okay, no further discussion. All in favor of the motion? Carried. Someone like to move that we declare May 10th for the public hearing?
I will move, your worship.
Thank you. All in favor of the motion? Carried. Thank you. And an RFD regarding bylaw 1670, 2029 to amend community service rates and fees bylaw.
Okay, so we're looking to present this amendment to the community services rates and fees bylaw, reflecting council's direction to provide reduced rates for private aquatic center bookings in response to facility usage limitations resulting from COVID-19 restrictions. So we're looking for a motion for council to grant first, second, and third readings of the amending bylaw that will amend Schedule A of the Community Services Rates and Fees bylaw. So last week, council had discussion and directed administration to prepare a bylaw to provide a reduced rate for private bookings at the Aquatic Center. The current hourly pool rental rate is $110 an hour as established in the bylaw. Council indicated that a rate of approximately $45 for 45 minutes was preferable, subject to consultation with Aquatic Center staff. The staff has identified that various rental slots could be accommodated. We could do half hours, 45 minutes, hour sessions, depending on patrons' preference for how much they may wish to spend or how long they'd like to spend at the pool. The recommendation that did come from staff was that a rate of approximately $1.08 per minute be utilized, as it closely reflects the $65 an hour rate that is charged for our local sports groups, such as swim club and water polo. There was a feeling that that may reduce pressure that staff may get if the hourly rental rate ends up being less than what we're charging some of our user groups. So the bylaw has been presented that it will indicate a per minute charge so that various time slots can be accommodated. The clause has been worded to remain in effect through July 31st. If restrictions continue to limit communal swimming, we could extend it beyond that period. However, it was felt that this was simpler and cleaner than trying to specify when it would end, when public swimming was allowed again, that sort of thing. So we can revisit it if restrictions are still in place at July 31st. So again, looking for 3 readings of this bylaw.
Okay. Is someone prepared to make that motion first?
Your worship, I would make the first motion that council grants first reading of amending bylaw 1670-2021.
Thank you, Councillor Hill. Discussion. Councillor Bates.
Yes, your worship, just one question. So the process when we get to July 31st, what is it? Just a you bring it up and we approve an extension, or?
Yeah, so if we are still in a situation where restrictions are in place, we would essentially do the same thing, and extend it to September 30th if you'd like. So we'll flag it to make sure that we revisit that if at July 31st, we're still in a restricted state at the Aquatic Center, we can have a look at it again.
So if the reverse happens, and we can't imagine it will, but if we get back to more normal, we would leave this rate in place until July 31st.
Yeah, I thought the stakes were pretty low on that.
Yeah,
Even if we did give people a break for a couple
Yeah.
extra weeks, that would be okay.
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor of the motion? Carried. Is someone prepared to make second reading for this?
Your worship, I'm prepared to give second reading to 1670-2021. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bates. Any discussion? No? All in favor of the motion? Carried. Thank you. And would someone like to move that we proceed to third reading for this amendment?
I'll move that we proceed to third reading.
Thank you. All in favor of the motion? Carried. Who's prepared to make it?
I will move that we, what was I going to say? Sorry, you threw me off. Yeah, I will move a third and final reading of bylaw 1670-2021. I was ready.
Okay, thank you. All in favor of the motion? Carried. Thank you, Megan, for that. I know it was a quick project for you. Next is the RFD on 50th Street lease agreement.
So in conjunction with plans to invigorate the downtown area, administration has identified 5003 50th Street being the southwest quadrant of Bankers Corner as a prime location for creating a vibrant outdoor space to promote activity in the downtown area. The property is vacant and privately owned. Administration has reached a tentative agreement with the landowner for a 1-year lease at a rate of $375 per month. So for a total of $4,500 for the year. We will be coming back, if approved, to council with some renderings and plans for what could be done in that space, which would include temporary seating, planters, and some art. So it has been identified that this $4,500 would be funded from the general capital reserve. And at this time, we're looking for a motion from council to direct us to enter into a lease agreement for a portion of the property for $4,500 for a period of 1 year in substantial accordance with the draft lease agreement. So the lease agreement's quite straightforward, does outline insurance requirements and the payment, and
Okay. Is someone prepared to make a motion to support that recommendation?
Your worship, I would make that motion.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Hill. Discussion.
I also have a question, your worship.
Yes.
Other fees that would be incurred besides insurance, like obviously, like is the town going to be shoveling the sidewalk, or is that by them, or who? Those kinds of questions are, and weed control and all that kind of stuff are my questions.
so we would maintain the property. So we would, yeah, as the tenant would be responsible for those portions. You can see in the map on the RFD that it is essentially the front sort of third of the property. So we'll have to ensure that we're, the responsibilities are laid out, but we had to leave that back half so that they can still access their parking for the adjacent property.
Okay, any further discussion? Councillor Harrison.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just around the term of the lease, as the town will be putting in some improvements, is a year sufficient enough? And is there an appetite from the lessor to go longer than a year?
We hadn't discussed, the lease does allow for the extension upon the expiry at the 1 year point. We thought the 1 year would give us a sense of how much we could utilize the space and give us the opportunity to explore some winter events next year in the space as well. And then all of the installations will be largely temporary in nature. So even the planters, things like that will be something that can be moved so that they could be utilized either in a different space, or if we do move to a longer term situation. But I think it'll provide us a good trial to see how it operates.
Thank you, and I totally agree with you. I think it'll take off. So, as long as we have an opportunity in the existing lease agreement to extend a year from now, I think that's quite important. Thank you.
Councillor Beats.
Yes, through to Director Jenkins. So my question would be, what phase of COVID operation would we target to start the lease? Because there's no point in leasing it if we can't do much on it. So just trying to get an idea when we would envision starting that year.
So I think we would probably still move forward relatively quickly. It will be seating and general space. We're still at this point looking to proceed with the Market on Main activities. So it would be supportive of that, as well as right now restaurants are still able to open on outdoor patios. So whether there's some seating spaces there. But yeah, my envision was that we would still move forward.
You'd start it in the next month, is that?
Yeah, with planters and space.
Okay.
Councillor Burke.
Your worship, through to Director Jenkins, are you considering putting a patio floor?
So I just got the first drawings
Okay.
back from the designer. So it does look like some planters around the edge, because until sort of later last week when I wasn't sure if we would move forward, I didn't want him to get too far on that lot if we weren't gonna do this. But hopefully we can be back in the next week or two with those designs. Yeah, planters, seating area. He actually has some sort of overhead sort of signage that identifies, and then some temporary artwork on that stone wall of the building. So, yeah.
Nice, sounds wonderful.
How big of a tree spade have you got? Move our Christmas tree over there. But anyways, I can see lots of things, the potential for a Christmas light show or stuff like that, is portable and maybe an opportunity for the chamber businesses to get in, but I encourage it. But we have a motion. Any further discussion? No? All in favor of the motion? Carried. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Megan. Correspondence you have before you. Anything for discussion purposes there?
Your worship, through to Director Kennedy, the letter on the lagoon. So is the lagoon done now? Or
Which letter? Sorry, are you
well,
referring
there's a
to?
letter, the Environmental Protection and Enhancement Act. Does that have to do with our
Yes.
lagoon?
So
Okay,
it is regarding the lagoon. So yeah, we are officially completed. We are just working with environment in regards to determining if we need a final sign off on the environmental side.
okay.
So, but other than that, that is the cancellation of the lagoons.
So the 5-year clock starts to tick now, or?
No, that is
No.
related to the
Okay.
grant itself.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
I believe our committee, negotiation committee is meeting with the SRD tomorrow at 5 o'clock via Zoom, I guess, but to try and get some sort of resolution on that agreement for the storage pond, emergency storage pond.
Your worship, through to maybe, I guess, Director Jenkins, do we know when do they stock the fish into Dodds Lake?
The plan is May long weekend. I haven't heard back from them if they've got their approval as of yet.
Thank you.
Your worship, through to Director Jenkins, the follow-up to the fish. I was asked the question on the weekend, like, is it like every other lake in the province? You're limited to so many fish, or can one person take all 500 fish? Like, this is unique, right?
I believe you still need a fishing license, just
Oh,
the
that's the
same.
first thing,
Yeah.
yeah. But-
So with
but-
the stocked fish, I think it would be the same if there's limitations on the trout. The carp wouldn't be limited in any way. You can have as many of
No, you can have as
those.
many of those as you want. But these are nice 10-inch rainbow
Mhm.
trouts. Like they look good at
Yeah.
dinner time, right? So, no, I was asked that
Mhm.
about how many fish can I take per day? Because there is
Mhm.
daily limits on other areas.
Yeah, it's my understanding it would be the same as your fishing license. You would still have to have a fishing license, same as anywhere else, and the limitations would
So
be
the regulations would
same.
apply
Yeah.
to that pond?
Yeah.
Okay, and then I guess, would those rules be posted when we do put the rules up there?
Yeah, we are working on some signage right now that'll go
Okay,
up.
that
that
Yes,
outlines
for-
what's a carp and what's a trout, and that you do need the licenses and those things.
Okay.
Yes. So
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Okay, if no further discussion, someone like to move that we accept these correspondence for information.
I'd so move, your worship, that we accept for
Thank you,
correspondence
Councillor Harrison.
information. Thank you.
All in favor of the motion? Carried. Thank you. Well, do you want to quickly go around the table? Councillor Hill.
Yes, your worship. Just I had one quick question. When do we have a time frame as to when the market on Main might be unfolding, or?
So our preliminary plans, the chamber's working on the farmer's market license itself. And so we have another meeting later this week, but we were aiming sort of the third week of June is the intent. But yeah, we're still getting that license in place and going from there.
Yeah, and I guess the reason why I asked is because I work quite closely with Sundance Realty, and they've, I'm really echoey, sorry. They've said to us that we usually would help set up, and they're not interested at all of obviously having the Sundance market this year. So with us having really the only one outdoor market, I just think that's, you know, I think I want a council to be aware of that as well. But I guess they will be renting out some space in their parking lot to vendors to come through and just won't be in an organized fashion. It'll just basically be stalls. So just wanted to share that with council. But that was kind of a little disappointed, but at the same time, hopefully that will bring a bigger attendance to our market on Main, and hopefully it'll flourish a little more, and maybe we'll gain more than maybe gain an extra street or half a block would be nice. So that's all from me. Thanks, Your Worship.
So last week I had MPC and I attended the Municipal Energy Management. And I've signed up for the AUMA virtual this week, but I likely will only participate Thursday and Friday, I think, due to other conflicts. Thank you.
I had an MPC last week and participated in the Municipal Energy Champions presentation, and AUMA this week. Also at Red Deer County meeting. Todd, is that online? Like I think it says Red Deer County Council Chambers in the invite.
It is intended to be in person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Also last week had a chamber meeting, kind of a tail end of their strat planning. Certainly the market in Maine came up, and people are definitely keen on it. So hopefully that can go ahead. Are there restrictions on that, Director Jenkins, with COVID right now, or?
So farmers markets are still allowed as an
Okay.
essential service. So there will still be the restrictions in place for distancing and all the
Okay.
rest. But that's part of why we're trying to pursue the formal farmers market license as well, to ensure we're covered off on that front.
Okay. And is the market at the arena going
Yes.
ahead?
Yeah, as far as the last conversation, we updated them last week with what the 15% that they'd be limited to indoors. And they may have a portion outside as well, just to let them have lots of space. But they do intend to move forward as well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I have no extracurricular activities to report at this time.
Thank you, Your Worship. I attended the energy management seminar there. I found it quite interesting, and I'm glad that we're moving ahead with our audits and sort of leading the charge. AUMA this week, I also will be representing Council Administration along with CEO Becker and Director Kennedy tomorrow evening on the Zoom call with the wastewater management group, and we're going to try and bring this thing to to a closure. So hopefully we're successful tomorrow. And other than that, that's pretty much it, Your Worship. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I don't have an awful lot to bring up either. The energy meeting was interesting, but I hope too, like Councillor Harrison said, that we can come to a conclusion on this discussion about the SRD and move on. We've got the Water Commission meeting is on Wednesday. There's not an awful lot to discuss, but there's, I don't think anything new coming from that. So really pretty quiet. I'll quickly go around. Stephen, have you got anything to add?
Just one, I guess, in regards to 53rd Ave. So they are looking to have an early start. They sent out notices this week to residents that potentially start that project within the next 2 weeks, setting up temps. So probably one of the earliest starts we've seen in a very long time. So that's, yeah, looks good for their construction.
Good. Erica, you got anything?
Thank you, Worship. I don't really have anything other than, my first report was the worst one that, get it over with at the first, so the rest of the next couple
You
months
did great.
should be good. Thank you.
Megan? you good?
Nothing for me, just there's an FCSS meeting tomorrow evening, so I think that's Gavin. And then, yeah, the IDP meeting at Red Deer County, yes, is intended to be in person.
Okay. Ken? No. Stuart, you must have something. No? And Vanessa? No? CAO Becker? No? Okay. All right, well, other than there's an upcoming events schedule there, we'll move on to, I guess I should before, but I do end the open mic session for the people out there in Cyberland. Is there anybody that's wanting to put in a question of council or make a comment?
Someone put their hand up for a split second. I don't know if they actually wanted to speak, but try it again if you do, or else that was it.
No? Okay. All right, well, I guess next we need a motion to go in camera.
Your Worship, I'll move that we move in camera.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Hill. Let's take a couple minute break here. All in favor? Sorry.